Parent Power Hour. Welcome. I am Kristen, and this is the Parent Power Hour where we come to power up, whether you're a parent or a teacher or simply somebody who is interested in learning how to be the best version of yourself so that you can better yourself and better serve those around you that you love, whether that's your family, your teams, your community, virtually or in person. That's why we're here together. If you're a parent, I hope if you are watching this live, you found a comfy spot, you've got the kids busy doing something, and if it's just you and you're chilling on your own, then find a comfy spot, create some space. Some parts of these moments are definitely things where you can multitask. You can be busy, you can listen in sort of podcast style while you're making dinner or something. But then if there are times where I know that it's important that we really dial in, I'll be sure and let you know so that you can create that space that you need to really dig in. And if you've been here with me this week, yes, this is my third time to wear this shirt. I'm not afraid of it. It's Friday though, you guys, here in Dallas. It's about 10 a.m., a little bit after. And I needed it. And I also wanted to end this week the same way that we started it, which was a pretty good reminder and a physical reminder for me to wear the shirt in front of you, that we choose joy, that everything we do is a choice. There's only two things we can control, is our attitude and the way that we handle the things that come in at us, right? The way that we perceive them. So our attitude and our perception. And that's all of everything else that fits under that umbrella is things like choosing joy, choosing and creating the energy and the love and the attitude, whether it's positivity or negativity that you have in your life. And some of you already know, and I've been seeing that you're a part of this this community, that I've invited you to join me in taking on the next 90-day challenge, which Choose Joy was the whole theme of the second week of the challenge. I think we are in our third week now, 14 weeks total. So how's it going? How are you doing with your 5 to Thrive? At the end of the week, here on Parent Power Hour, this is our final day of the week, but I also recognize that you may be watching this later, so in any case, what I invite you and recommend, and it's so powerful, and I bet so many of you already do this, is to find a moment in the end of your week to spend some time reflecting, looking back at how did the week go for you, and being specific about your reflection there. I tend to usually do it on Sunday nights, because first of all, avoid the Sunday scaries. I mean, Sunday scaries is probably, that was 15 years of teaching, and Sunday night comes around and you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do because school's back tomorrow, and I blah, 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 and you just start to spiral, right? But you took it easy all weekend on purpose, and then Sunday night comes and you're freaked out about all the stuff that you have to do, right? So Sunday scaries, that's where that came from. And of course, that's all reactive. And here on Parent Power Hour, we don't react. We prepare, we respond, we find ways to be intentional about our thoughts, because we know that when we tend to let the oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed kind of perspective take over, that doesn't really help us to stay in line with our true selves and with who we want to be for ourselves and for those that we love. So here's one way that I've learned over time from lots of different sources. I mean, I tried to pinpoint when I was planning on sharing this, tried to pinpoint exactly where I learned it from, but it's a little bit of a combination of resources that I've found work for me. Some resources are a bit too rigid. They're a bit too detailed for me. I find I get lost in this, other hot words for me are like shame spiral of like, oh my gosh, I didn't do all those things I wanted to do when I look back, right? And others of them are a bit too, so I'll take pieces of that kind of thinking and morph it into something that doesn't send me into a straight shame spiral, right? And then other methods are a bit too data driven. I'm not going to rate myself every single day at the end of the day and giving myself a number. That also feels very rigid to me. it might work for you. It might work for you you might be more of a data-driven person and you can capture that data for yourself. By all means, whatever method works for you, go for it. The point is that we find a moment at the end of our week to reflect back on the days previous. And this is episode 25, which means it's the end of a weekday of episodes here for us at Parent Power Hour. And that's another reason why I'm inviting all of you to practice this in your own way. Find a way that works for you. I'm going to offer one way. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. Go find something else. You're smart people. You already know that when we are reflective, when we take moments to pause and evaluate or review, then we are a lot more poised to proceed forward in the direction that we know we want to go. So here's something that works for me. And sometimes I go deep into it, and sometimes it's just a Sunday night, like click off. But the first thing I do is I do focus on the 4 S's. How do I feel about myself? And how did I treat myself? What was my self talk like in my head last week? For the previous, right now we're just going to talk about Monday through Friday. My social, how do I feel about my interactions? And not just like, oh, I feel good, everything was great, but also, did I represent myself in my social interactions the way I want to be represented? Did I show up for the people that are important in my life in the way that I want to show up, that I know is important to me? Self, social, skill. Did I do something to skill up this week? Did I hone in on a specific ability? Look back over the past 5 days and see, okay, there's like 2 webinars that I watched. That's pretty good. That feels pretty good about my skilling up. I tried out some new things here on Parent Power Hour with screen sharing, and that didn't go as well as I wanted to on the first day, but second day I got it got it figured out and fixed. And then I had tech issues, so I still got some things to skill up on that I'm continuing to learn about. I don't fail at skill. Like, we don't fail at pursuing a certain skill because of learning, right? And the more we fail, the more we learn. Failure is the most data-rich human experience that we have. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back that have fear of failure. Failure is the most data-rich human experience that we have. I won't go any further than that because I'll just go on a huge tangent. I get really fired up about that one. I'm not a perfectionist in that sense. I'm not a perfectionist in that I must do everything right and be successful at everything. Different show. We're going to move on to the final S. So first one is myself. Second one is social. Third one is skill. And fourth one is service. Were there things throughout the past week, the past 5 days for our purposes here on Parent Power Hour, that I was living up to my purpose in my service to others that I have decided? And that's what all 4 of these S's are definitely narrowing in on what's important to you, what you have decided, which requires you to be at a place where you've already decided what's important to you. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up a resource. I've shown this to you guys before. Well, that's weird. It's like a shark fin coming out of the back of my head. Da-dun, da-dun. This is end of the week hair, you guys. You knew it was going to happen. Beginning of the week hair is down and it's all in a great spot. And all right, hey, it's been a few days since I talked about my hair. Should be proud of me. The other piece that I do on Sunday nights is from my Start Today journal, and not an ad. I swear, you guys, you probably think that I'm like being paid by the Hollis Co. or something. I'm not. I just find the tools that they produce, including this cute shirt, very in line with me and very in line with my personality and what's important to me and the way that I can approach things and keep things organized. I mean, organization and productivity is very important to me as well. So the priority planner is something that I also use on Sunday nights, and we're talking about, if you're just joining us, welcome in. We're talking about how we review the week previous and sets us up for not only productivity, but also self-reflection. And so on Sunday nights, let me find a good page. There's a weekly review, and it's a process of asking yourself questions. Take some time to reflect on the past week. At the beginning, we had defined, and that's the other part of it, is that this is both a reflection and a preparation for the upcoming week. But this past week, what was my favorite moment? What are the results that I produced? What did I actually achieve? What did I plan for that didn't happen? What got in my way? You're probably starting to see a lot of the little drips of tips that I've been giving here on Parent Power Hour in different contexts, all in one context here as far as reflecting on your past week. What can I do to ensure what can I do to ensure I achieve this week's plan? How am I taking care of myself? Notice that these are also the 4 S's. So this is more of a deep dive into the 4 S's. Self, social, skill, and service. And then also preps for the upcoming week. What are the big deals? That's the next page. What's my morning routine going to be? That's that 5 to Thrive. What are the weekly results? The things that I know for sure, whether that's in that social or that skill that I want to change, or whether that's something that has to do with a project at work, whatever it is. 5 to Strive, and then super fun, they also have you to write down your theme song. What's your pump up anthem? Pick a song that you can play at all times of the day to motivate yourself and empower your sense of accomplishments and your goals. And this is not anything that's like copywriting. Don't worry. Other people have also shared this, and there's more in here as well that I'm not sharing, so we're good. And also, the Hollis Co. is really big about, free content. So all of the stuff that I just went through, that's in the Purchase Priority Planner. They're coming out with another round of them May 1st, from what I understand. So if you're interested, go ahead, Target. But what I hope to do there is to give you some tools about how we can reflect on our week, and know that even if it's if it's not a written process like that, even if it's a mental reflection, Sunday night comes around, you're like, oh my gosh, and right now every day feels like the same day. But this will also be another tool for us right now in these moments of quarantine, that we can distinguish the difference between weekends and weekdays. For those of you that are parents that are busy with the little ones at home, that kind of, it's 2 parts, right? Like every day goes by so fast because you're still in every day with each other. And at the same time, it goes so slow, right? Because you're like, oh my gosh, we just did this yesterday. We just had this meltdown yesterday. Are we having it again? And so there's that part of every day feeling the same. And I'm bringing this up now because we're about to go into the weekend here, if we're watching this live. And for those of us that don't have children, we can also find that monotony, or don't live with children in the house. I don't have kids of my own, but I live with my sister and 4-year-old and 2-year-old and her husband. And so, I can still feel that every day is exactly the same. There are kids in the house, and I'm not 100% with them. I'm not their parent. I'm with them a lot, so that still doesn't change the fact that for me, and for those of you who also don't have children, probably also struggle like I do with, well, every day kind of still feels the same. And there's a lot of my non-childrened friends. I avert the word single because that implies aloneness. And we aren't alone. We have communities. We have relationships. We just don't have relationships with one person, the same person every day. Okay, moving on. Those of us who are uncoupled or who are living without other people around can find ourselves in this, monotony of every day is the same. And so that's another reason why I bring up this point of reflecting on your week and saving it. Of course, do your daily reflection. You're already doing that anyways because you're constantly evaluating, and at the end of the day thinking, okay, that didn't go the way I thought. Tomorrow I'm going to try it again. But to be really intentional about it, at least one day a week, and to go a bit further, to go a little deeper. So that's why I am recommending something like a Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, someday that's the end of the weekend. I know I have friends on the other side of the world that their weekend is Friday, Saturday. So for you it would be Saturday night, the night that's before your work day or your work week begins, right? Good morning, Cindy. Let me just pause for a second and say good morning to some people. Shay's here. My mom's here. Cindy's here. Got a good crew in here this morning. Good morning, everyone. So those are some tips on how you can either, without writing it down, having a mental reflection, whatever, during the day before your work week begins, two purposes: to reflect, and also right now in this time of quarantine to distinguish a weekend from a work day. And then the other option is two options: to kind of just do a mental review on the 4 S's: self, social, skill, and service. And then the other option is to do a deeper reflection that I just showed for you in the priority planner that I use. All of that is to really gear us up and to put us in a position so that we can better ourselves, so that we can better serve those around us. And as we work on ourselves, so I'm just going to give you a little summary of what we do here on Parent Power Hour all the time on this show, whether you're a parent or not, is that we do this. And I was prepping for today and continuing to give you some tangible strategies for how to have these tough conversations about the change that you are looking to implement and move towards preparing for when the lift happens. And also at any point in your life when you know that change is coming. And so as I was preparing for that, I was reading through my Bible for the week, and the very beginning, it has an amazing sentence that I read it and I was like, whoa, that's exactly what we do. And we've unpacked so many of the things in this sentence. So here it is. The focus is on how we think about problem situations and what we do to prepare for them. So put this in the context of all of our talks this week from episode 21 to 25, which is today. So if you're not live with us, you can reference back. 21 to 25 have all been about this: how we think about problem situations and what we do to prepare for them. As we work on ourselves, watch for problems, examine our own thought processes, discover our own styles, and then catch problems before they get out of hand, everyone benefits. I'm going to read that to you again. This is so amazing. As we work on ourselves, we watch for problems. That was yesterday. We actually took some time to see, can we identify what are the problems in our relationships, in our communication. So as we work on ourselves, which is what we do every day here in Parent Power Hour, watch for problems, examine our own thought processes, discover our own styles, and then catch problems before they get out of hand, everyone benefits. And we started our week out with asking ourselves, when it comes to the change that we are preparing for, and when it comes to changes that are going to happen in our life, because that is the human experience, change happens. If there's no change happening, are you living? Are you growing? If everything is exactly the same all the time, are you positioning yourself to eliminate all risk? If you never leave your home, if you come from this place, that makes us think that you're actually living in a place of fear instead of a place of fierce. I did a whole talk on that, so that was in my head. I did a workshop on moving from fear to fierce, and it's a Beyonce reference. Sasha Fierce is her alter ego of when she's, believe it or not, if Beyonce could have an alter ego, I mean, how's that even possible? She is. She is already an alter ego. But look into that on your own time. You'll be really interested to see how someone is, this, powerful woman that we see in the media and that we all of us, right? All of us. I mean, I'm not the only Beyonce fan on here. I know I'm not. But that we see, Beyonce, oh my gosh. And then she also has Sasha Fierce. Holy moly. She can get some stuff done. And so that's that. But that's that idea, is that we all have that side of us, that we are already amazing and we can also be fierce. And so what I'm hoping to shift your thinking about today is that if you're constantly living in this, and just through every day here on Parent Power Hour, that if you are constantly living in this state of sameness, then are you growing? Are you looking and facing your fears? And so we started out our week with recognizing that in order to change our behaviors, in order to prepare our families for the change that does always come in life, and more significantly right now, when this crisis will continue to reshape how we handle life, is to consider those six spheres, or those six methods of influence. That's how we started on the episode 21, 22. And then I'm pulling up my notes so I don't miss something. And then on episode 23, we broke it down and we said, you know what? A lot of that has to do with your motivation and your ability. Do you want to? What motivates you into moving in the direction of change? Or what changes do you want to see? And ability, what kind of skills do you have? And so much of that also has to do with more than just, oh, I can make a really awesome meal out of the random cans of food that are in my pantry, because no one in my house has gone to the grocery in 7 weeks, because whatever your story is. That's one kind of skill. But the skill that we focused on here is, leaning into those skills of having tough conversations, of recognizing that if we are quiet and silent about the things that matter, that is a sign, and that is something that is going to shut down that change. The quote I shared is that our lives begin to end the day that we become silent about things that matter. So to back that up a second, you have to identify what does matter to you. And when something happens in a conversation, or in a team meeting, or in your family, that you don't like, there's probably a reason, because that's not in line with either who you are, who you want to be, and who you see yourself as, or not in line with what's important to you. And so then we shift to our thinking about, what actually are the problems? How do we even begin to figure out, why is it silent at the dinner table every night? Like, why, we were all just all over the place all day today, with between lunch and meltdowns, and we don't have enough masks to even go to the grocery, to put those on when we go out. I mean, all the typical, right now, the typical problems. How interesting, right? That these are typical problems now. But that's, we start to get into that wheel of like, how did we even get here? And one step to figuring that out is to being able to identify what are the problems, what are the issues that are actually here. And I'm not saying like we aren't going to be our own family's therapists. That's not our role. That's someone else who's a trained professional. What I am hoping to give you some tools about thinking when you're starting to have a tough conversation with your spouse, with a teammate, that and things start to shut down, that we can really identify what's the conversation really about, right? And I'm going to throw up some reviews. Yeah. That we centered in on some of these concepts here, right? That these big ideas. So anytime that you're stuck, if you're looking for having this conversation, anytime you're stuck, look for what is this crucial conversation that you're not holding, or maybe that you're not holding well. And that's actually where we spent our first few days, 21 to 23 on, and 24 actually, our episodes, really identifying like what's stuck here. Why aren't we making progress? Why does it feel like we're doing the same thing over and over again? Is that too small? I feel like I did something to make that too small. Is it bigger now? Okay, I'm going to wait one moment and see if it's bigger for you because I feel like that's really tiny. I hope it gets bigger for you here in a second. The second thing that we did, that's the big idea that we broke down, is that number 2, which is the CPR. Oh, good. Okay, it's bigger for you now. I was making the mistake. Okay. You can see it now better? Good. I bet before you were like leaning in, like, what does that say? See, learning, skilling up. What's hidden? If you're finding yourself stuck in your progress, stuck in moving forward, you have to look at what is hidden in this conversation. It's probably something that has to do with what's referred to here as CPR, which is what's this conversation about that's something that's deeper. What are we not talking about? It's probably one of 3 things. Either there's an immediate pain or some sort of content issue. Thank you for the feedback. Or it's P, the pattern or the process. It's a series of concerns with how we're discussing the issue. Or R, it has to do something with the relationship. That there's a deeper concern with trust. Maybe it's competence. Maybe you doubt that I respect you. Okay? So that's what the CPR is. And so today we're landing on that third concept there, which, oh, you guys are going to be mad at me, is how do we start to have this conversation? We've got to make it safe. And we talked to this a little about, you're not mad at me, I just had to zoom out for a second so I could read it, because now I'm like, what does that say? And I bet there's a different way, but I'm not going to figure that out right now because we're having a conversation and this is what's important. So how do we talk about these things with each other? This is what today is actually about. And having conversations about what matters. Okay, that's why we've done so much work on what actually matters. We've done lots of unpacking for us as individuals, what matters to us, and we've done lots of unpacking and digging deep about what's important to us so that we can have these conversations and so that we can identify ways to make it safe. And the way that we make things safe, and this is all pulled from Crucial Conversations. These are not I did not create these slides. These are not my acronyms. What I'm doing is I'm pulling from resources that I have consumed and I'm passing them on to you. And hopefully a contextual way that's helpful to you. So creating mutual purpose is going to be where we land as far as creating safety. Let me find the right notes. Because what we have to do is figure out what's going on deeper, right? Think about how we ended yesterday, which is the cost of not getting these deep conversations on the table. What's the cost? Silent dinners, distancing from each other emotionally inside your home. Social distancing is a common practice right now. Is also emotional distancing a common practice for you in your home? What are you not talking about? When you don't talk it out, you end up acting it out. And there are a bunch of hidden motives, hidden issues, that's that CPR. There's hidden things going on that are getting in the way of our progress, that are getting in the way of joy, that are getting in the way of being our true selves, that are getting in the way of feeling satisfaction and happiness and groundedness, that are getting in the way of feeling that everything's going to be okay, of optimism. Maybe not positivity, but optimism. So the first step to narrowing that in is to create safety, creating emotional safety. And we've talked about in the past episodes about how detrimental emotional negativity is to not only children, but also us as adults. What it does chemically in our brains affects everything in our bodies. And so when we are not, what we intend to do then is what we must do, and this is research-based. This is after observing thousands and thousands of not only organizational teams and companies and businesses, but also people in personal relationships. And So how do we create safety? We create it through two ways. We create it through mutual purpose and mutual respect. So let me throw up those up there for you, so you can have an idea of what I mean by mutual purpose and mutual respect. So mutual purpose is that you know that I care about your goals, that I care about what's important to you. I may not know exactly everything that's important to you, but if you feel that I support you and what's important to you, that's mutual purpose. Mutual respect, of course, is that I care about you, that you as a human being, and it's bigger than, hey, how you doing? Just thinking about you today. How's it going? That's part of it. And there's more to that, because when we get in these moments of conversations, specifically what this whole book is about, which is all of human relationships, whether it's professionally or personally, when we care about the purpose of our conversation, when that's established, then that's how we create safety. So here's some really practical strategies about creating mutual purpose and creating mutual respect. And these are fully unpacked in this book, Crucial Conversations. Like I've mentioned before, I've done 3-hour workshops on the contents that are in here before. You could do a full day training on it. So I'm giving you like tip of the iceberg stuff, that, first of all, I know that's all you have time for. We're not going to go into 3 hours. If you're interested, go ahead and message me. I'll have my person. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a personal assistant. I am my own personal assistant. But okay, so here it is. Here's the high view. I can create mutual purpose, and we create mutual purpose together when we crib. CRIB. And I didn't make a screen for this. I'm so sorry, you guys. So you just have to listen. I know, it's like the worst. Let me double check to make sure I didn't make a screen, because now I said that and I'm like, but did I? Did I make a screen? No. 3 big ideas in creating change and mutual yeah, that's all I have for today. Okay, cancel. So here's how we crib. This is creating mutual purpose. We commit to seek a mutual purpose, okay? We say, you know what? This conversation isn't working. We're both yelling at each other. We're both having an emotional breakdown. This isn't working. That's already the first step to creating mutual purpose. You are recognizing that what's happening here isn't working, okay? I know you're getting some blips, so I'm going to close out and see if that helps with some of those digital blips that are happening. So then you say, you know, this isn't working. Why don't we see if we can work this out in a different way? Mutual purpose. It's that simple. You know what? We aren't seeing eye to eye. Let's see if we can figure out how to make sense of what we're both discussing here. Mutual purpose. Some of them can be really tough situations, and use some of those tools I've told you about before, which are things like, you know, what I want, what I don't want. That 3-second pause. Say hippopotamus in your head. When someone's taking a break, they're just blah, 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 they're going at you, and they're just da, 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 da. When they take a breath and they take a break and they're like, so, are you going to say anything? Are you? Hippopotamus in your head. That's that breath. That's that pause. And then the first step there is, if you're not able to create the mutual respect yet because you're still focusing in on, oh my gosh, they just launched in on me. Oh my gosh. Start with reviewing what they said. Okay, so let me see if I've got this straight. You're upset at me because I did X, Y, and Z, and you didn't like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Didn't you hear me? I just launched in at you for the past 3 minutes. Okay, so what we're not doing right now is we're not coming up with a way to get past this. Are you up for getting, like, let's get past this together? Okay, yeah. What do you actually? Sure, yeah, you have all the, you know, whatever their attitude is going to be. You can't control them. You can't control their attitude. You can control yours. You can control how you respond. So that first C, crib, C-R-I-B, is what we're breaking down about how to create mutual purpose. And that is C, committing to seek a mutual purpose, verbalizing that out loud in the conversation. R is recognizing the purpose behind it. Ask what they actually want. Okay? Separate what they're demanding from the purpose it serves. So what you're saying is you're mad at me because I didn't respond to that email in the time that you thought I should have? Yeah, that's right. Okay. So why is it important to you that I respond to that email? Because, nope, leave out the because. That's a habit of mine to explain myself. Practice. Okay, I don't mean to say because. All right. So tell me, why is that important to you? What do you mean, why is that important to me? Of course it's important that you respond to that email. Okay, tell me more about why it's important to you because, look, did it again, right? Catch yourself, and that's okay. When you're in the practice of these kinds of strategies of responding to people, of identifying problems together, of creating this mutual purpose so that you can move forward towards the things that are important, absolutely, it takes practice. And recognizing the purpose behind that is inviting that person in a way to explain themselves. It just is. It's just that. So explain to me why, and you're not being an attitude, and a lot of that has to do with your tone of voice, right? You can't do this over email. You can't say, explain to me why. That tone of voice cannot be interpreted over email. Pick up the phone. Okay, so you just launched into me. There's 17 paragraphs in this email that I have. Seems like something's upsetting you. Why don't we see if we can figure out what's going on here? What do you mean what's going on here? I told you about that in the email. Okay, so it's important for me to know why it's important for you that I respond to an email to you 5 minutes after you send it. Well, because I've got 9,000 things to do, and if you don't respond to that, then I can't do the thing that I need to do. And okay, well, you know what? Move on to your I. Invent a mutual purpose. You know what? It sounds, we've been through this road before. It sounds like it's really important to you. So let's make a different strategy together. It's important for you to, for me, it's important to you for me to respond to your email more quickly next time. So, and I'm not able to do that for you because I've also got my priorities of things. So let's find a different strategy. Let's try some things. Are there other ways that you could let me know that you need an immediate response from me? Wow, you just invented a mutual purpose. You just stepped into the zone of let's find a solution together. So C, committing to seek committing to seek mutual purpose. R, recognizing the purpose behind the strategy. Exactly what's going on here. Like, okay, why is this important to you? I, invent a mutual purpose after clarifying everybody's positions and what's important for you. If that conversation, and it may stop at the C or the R, you may clear things up there and you don't have to bump into. I'm going to go ahead and take that down so it doesn't keep blipping on you, because if it's blipping on you, it probably is on me. And that is something that is not enjoyable to watch. Okay, how about that? We'll come back to that. That's not going anywhere. So after clarifying everyone's purpose, you're still at it. So maybe things ended at C or R, but now you're here and you're like, all right, let's find a solution to this together because it's not working for you. It's not working for me. That means you can invent a third solution, right? It's not mine. It's not yours. It's ours. If you can invent that and you have a longer term purpose that's more motivating than the ones that you keep having a conflict about, okay? If it's still going on there, you've kind of already stepped into this last one, the B, by problem solving together. But B says brainstorm new strategies. With a clear mutual purpose, you can join forces in searching for a solution for everyone. So this is one of the first ways to create emotional safety through mutual purpose. That's going through that CRIB. And the other piece of that was mutual respect. Mutual respect is something that is a little bit less, well, we probably need less strategic tips about that because we all know what it feels like to not be respected. And that is something that is ingrained in us. I mean, my youngest nephew is about to be 2 in 3 days. Oh my goodness. And even with him now, okay, do your brother is touching you, they're wrestling, okay? They're brothers, they wrestle. They're like little bear cubs. And the younger one is, okay, you're telling your big brother that that's not what you like. Can you find words for that? Big brother thinks that it's fun. Big brother keeps going on with it. Little brother still is expressing, and now starting to figure out he can actually push back, and he has little personal physical strength, right? And okay, little brother, it's important for you to let big brother know that you don't like that. That's already a level of respect. We start experiencing that as humans in our social interactions as early as we can verbalize when we don't like it when somebody does something to us, right? And so what happens if that mutual respect in the conversation, in the relationship that you have, in the problem that you're trying to work through together, what happens if that's gone? As adults, you don't get to just and push back, right? Oh boy, I bet some of us wish we could. But to really establish that mutual respect, that takes courage. Okay, when we're talking about having effective conversations with our family, with teammates that haven't really shown that they're pulling their weight on the team, with teammates that just barrel in anyways, with bosses that come through and ruin your whole life because they're going to power trip all over the place. You guys know it's still happening, right? It's still happening even virtually. So how do we create mutual respect? Someone comes to you and says, that thing that happened, that really made me, if they're brave enough to even come to you and say, that really made me upset, because you just flew off the handle in that meeting. I'm using work as an option, so let's move more towards family situations or personal relationships. Here's the example. Hey, I thought you were my friend. This is going to be a little bit frivolous, but hang with me. When we were out the other night, you said that you didn't think that I could handle 3 drinks. Well, guess what, sis? I can handle 6 drinks. And you're like, I don't care. First of all, you're like, I don't care. Second of all, you're also like, why is she so mad at me right now? Like, I'm watching out for her well-being. And this is way back when we all used to get to go out and be in public together, right? So, but sub this in for any other kind of personal relationship you have. Somebody comes to you and is brave enough, first of all, to tell you that you've done something that they don't like. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that it would mean and be significant to you. So start with identifying. Be humble. Honesty is way more important than ego. And having a response that says, well, sorry friend, that's what you get because you shouldn't be drinking 6 drinks anyways, and I'm taking care of you, so deal with it. No, that's not going to be the thing that's going to be helpful. Okay? You can do this for any sort of, okay, I'm using like a social situation to keep it light, but I'm also hoping that you can go to a scenario in your head with an interaction with your family, with your children. So address right there that you didn't know. And if you did, then address that. Yeah, I know that upsets you. You do this every weekend. And I know that it makes you mad. I apologize that I didn't come to you in a way that was something that you were ready to receive, that I came to you in the wrong moment. I apologize. Start with that humility. If you're not sorry, that's a different strategy of a conversation, okay? But start with apologizing. That seems simple, but what that does is that puts you in the position of humility, okay? Then contrast. We've talked about this before also in Parent Power Hour. What I mean is to be sure that you're safe. What I mean is to help you you told me last week that you didn't want to drink 6 beers, and here you are, you're on number 5. So at 3, I was trying to help you out. So what I mean to do is to be a support for you in something that you told me was something you didn't want to do. That's what I do mean. What I don't mean is to make you think that you can't control yourself. So that's that contrasting part, right? What I do mean and what I don't mean. And when people misunderstand, and when their conversation is, and they keep coming back at you with, well, but you did this and you shouldn't have done this, stop. And instead of defending yourself, continue to explain what you don't mean. And I think this is so powerful, because what we do a lot in these tough conversations is try to continue to explain what we meant. Well, I was just trying to help you out. I was just trying to do da 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 da. What I was thinking was that, da da da. No, don't go with what you were trying to do, and don't go with what you do mean, because you clarified that already in the beginning of the conversation. Right after you apologized, you clarified and you contrasted, and you said specifically, this is what I do mean and this is what I don't mean. And if the person that's still coming at you continues to misunderstand and continues to focus in and drill in on that misunderstanding, you don't participate anymore in that, because that's not creating mutual respect. What you do is, okay, I don't mean to make you feel that you can't handle this. I don't mean to barrel through your social life. I don't mean all of the things that you don't mean, okay? Because that is going to help that person receive that respect that you can maintain for them. And if you're in this specific scenario I'm giving about a social, drinking situation, I know that doesn't relate to everybody, but the essence of it does. And if it's a thing where it is more about the health and safety of someone else, and they're not receiving it consistently, then maybe consider not having that kind of relationship with someone. Right? This kind of goes back to, what is the point? And what do you actually want out of your relationships? What do you actually want what do you actually want in the conversations that you have? And that's why we have the question that starts here today. I know it was deep. I know it was complicated. I wish I had another visual up for you to have something that you could grasp on. And I will throw back up the big ideas that we covered today, just in case you're joining us, or covered this week. And hopefully it won't blip too much. But here's the things that we unpacked. Let me get that back up for you. And today I gave you some practical solutions, some practical tips and strategies and ways that you can attempt to approach creating mutual purpose and safety and respect in your conversations, because we spent most of the week really identifying what are the problems, what is actually the things that are breaking us down. Because ultimately what we want to do is we want to be alive. We want to be able to live and experience joy and satisfaction and perspective with our conversations with the people that we love and we care about. And that takes courage. That takes following our dreams. And that means that we can also be in charge of creating the change, preparing for the kinds of tough conversations that are going to happen, that are happening, as we prepare for, in our pretend world over here, in 4 weeks when the lift happens, right? And I keep saying that because if it happens in 2 weeks, awesome, we're prepared, we're ready. If it happens in 8 weeks, awesome, we're prepared, we're ready. We're still going to keep skilling up, because we are here to do what's right over what's easy. And each of us decides what's right for us. Each of us decides what's important to us and what things matter. I hope you found something that was helpful for you today, something that was real, that you are inspired by something, and that no matter what you're doing, find a special moment this weekend, create the weekend for yourself. Do something different to shake up your routines of the weekday so that you can feel a different level of energy, and let me know what you're thinking. Let me know your thoughts. I got some cool screenshots and DMs and things over the past few days that I'll be sharing next week. I'm really loving this conversation that's happening outside of this group here, and the one that's happening in here when you all do chime in on the comments. That just, it brings so much more power and energy to the group. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are, and stay true to yourself and your passions until they become your talent. Bye, everybody.